Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my first impressions look on the Adidas Adizero Select 3.0. So do you guys remember the hoop shoe that Jalen Green was wearing? Remember the black one? It was actually pretty dang cool. So this is actually the shoe that he was wearing, right? And if you guys remember the Adizero Select 2.0, I remember when I first got it, I was very excited because it was really lightweight, but also felt pretty dang nice. It was using light strike, but it wasn't that nice, right? The traction was subpar, the cushion was subpar, it was just way too thin, terrible for impact protection. The material was really thin, but not the most supportive upper, just like really not supportive, right? And also I had a lot of heel slippage, so didn't really like this one, and I just got this shoe in. It actually looks really good, and this color looks really clean as well. It retails for 110 bucks, which I think is a great price, especially for the tech that you're getting. And if you guys do want to copy, try to leave in the affiliate link in the description box. And if you do choose to get this shoe, it does help me out if you buy it through the affiliate link in the description box. But let's get it started right off with the Traction. So in this colorway, we have a fully translucent rubber, and it's basically using a herringbone traction pattern throughout the entire outsole. And because it is fully translucent, we can also see the midfoot chain play, right? It looks like carbon fiber. It has like a carbon fiber pattern on it, but it's just plastic TPU, and it's just of course stuck here in the midfoot area. So as far as the traction goes, how does it feel on my wood floors? It feels absolutely amazing. It has a really nice bite on my wood floors, which surprised the hell out of me because the Adizero Select 2.0, like I said, was terrible for traction. And it kind of sucks because it reminded me a lot of the Dame 4, right? The Dame 4 had really good traction. Not the best on dust, but this was actually worse than the Dame 4, which was a huge disappointment. Also terrible for durability. Like, it's just, these grooves are not it. Like, what were they thinking, right? As far as the durability goes, I mean, the rubber is actually pretty soft, right? And the grooves are on the thinner side of things, so probably not the best for outdoor use. But yeah, I'm very happy to see that, it feels really nice so far. Of course, it's just on my wood floors, and my wood floors have a different finish and all that from an actual basketball court. But, just trying it on my wood floors, it seems to have a good bite. And also seems to be biting through dust pretty well, right? I have a lot of dust and dog hair, even though I vacuum every other day. Yeah, it's just always there, and it seems to be biting through all that pretty well. So hopefully that translates onto the actual basketball court, and if it does, I feel like this is gonna be a pretty dang good traction pattern. There also is just a tiny bit of a squeak, not super loud, not super high pitched or anything like that, but there is a little bit of a squeak, which is pretty nice. I like to have a nice squeak in my hoop shoes. Of course, that has nothing to do with performance, and the Adizero Select 2.0 wasn't super squeaky either, right? So there is a traction there. Moving on to the heel to toe transition, it feels extremely smooth and also pretty snappy, right? So here in the heel, we have a nice curve shape and also a fully exposed light strike midsole. So it's really soft. There's a lot of compression. So just striking your heel and doing heel dominant strides, it feels really smooth here in the heel, right? And then coming here into the forefoot, we also have a very nice curved shape. So just from the shape, it feels really smooth. And also, it actually has a good amount of resistance, right? Look at that. You know what I mean? It's able to flex a lot, but I have to put a good amount of force. I can't even bend it with one finger, right? So I have to put my whole hand into it, and it is able to flex, but also, look at that. It has a nice kind of springy feel to it. And of course, that'll help in translating kind of like that snappy energy and also making it feel a little springy when you're doing heel dominant strides down the corner. Also, out of like your first step and stuff like that, it helps you feel a little bit more explosive as opposed to something like the Adizero Select 2.0, which is just, look at this. It's just super duper flexible. You know what I mean? Super flexible, and also the entire shoe is very flexible as well. Not that it's bad or anything, of course it has less support from the actual sole of the shoe, but also it's just like, it's just a different feel, right? So if you like a really smooth and soft feeling, flexible feeling shoe, this is obviously going to be better. I don't really like this shoe, of course, but here in the 3.0, this actually feels a lot snappier while still being able to flex, but also a lot sturdier. Especially here in the midfoot area as well, which is a completely different feel. You know what I mean? I feel like they revamped it and went away from the Adizero Select 2.0 design and completely went a different direction, right? So there is a heel to toe transition. Moving on to the cushioning setup. So it's using full length light strike. It says light strike here on the medial side and the heel, right? And it's just full length Light Strike. Of course, Light Strike is extremely nice. It's super duper soft, not super bouncy. There's a little bit of rebound, but not super bouncy. It's more just soft for me personally, especially comparing it to other foams like React, Zoom X, you know, Boom. But either way, in this setup, it's actually pretty dang nice, especially for only 110 bucks, right? So it feels way thicker than the Adizero Select 2.0. So the 2.0 has full length Light Strike as well, right? But it's just really freaking low to the ground, and impact protection was not great. And also there's a little bit of heel compression, but I feel like it prioritized court feel as well as responsiveness, right? But here for the 3.0, it's actually higher up off the ground, of course, that makes sense. And also as far as the court feel goes, I'd say it's around average. So not terrible, but also not amazing. But there is a lot of heel compression. It's super duper soft. And because it is really thick, it also has a nice kind of like bounciness to it. Again, like very subtle bounce, right? And then as far as the insole goes, the insole sucks. It's just your regular typical kind of like paper stock insole that Adidas gives you in all of their shoes, which is not very nice, right? And then looking underneath that, we have actually a foam struggle board, right? So that's nice. You know, there is a nice kind of like softness to the actual foam material that they're using. However, it is glued down. So when I try to press a little bit more, it feels kind of stiff, right? So comparing it to, you know, like a lot of Chinese companies that use a very soft mesh struggle board, which isn't heavily glued down, when I press those with my finger and also put those on foot, it actually feels really soft. You can feel the cushion and the foam right underneath your foot, right? But with this setup, it's not as soft. However, it's not super stiff either, right? When I'm just standing around, of course, taking into account that I'm not super heavy, I can feel a little bit of the Light Strike, right? It feels pretty nice for the underfoot cushion. Once I started kind of like jumping around a little bit, kind of jogging as well, of course, I haven't played in these yet, I could feel the actual Light Strike, which felt pretty dang nice. So I feel like once I start playing in this and also breaking it in, it'll get even nicer for the underfoot cushion. So yeah, for 110 bucks from Adidas, he kind of killed it. Again, Light Strike does bottom out pretty quickly, right? So it's not the best for longevity and not the best cushioning setup. I feel like they use Light Strike in more of their cheaper shoes. However, right now, and also for 110 bucks, this is a pretty dang nice cushioning setup, right? So there is the cushion there. Moving on to the upper. So they're actually saying this is just a textile material, which is pretty interesting. But it looks more like a screen mesh, like a plastic screen mesh. And you can see just how thin it is, right? So here in the toe box, you can see that it's literally see-through, right? It's just a very small area right here in the middle of the toe box. We can see the 3 stripes logo that kind of comes into the top of the toe box as well. That does add a little bit of durability and support. It's a pretty stiff kind of like synthetic material, right? But also we have the same very see-through material here on the lateral side as well as on the medial side, but we also have some underlaying materials as well for extra durability and support. But yeah, also here in the toe box we have a synthetic overlay going around the tip of the toe, right, around the toe box, which actually is pretty stiff, right? It's pretty stiff and also pretty thick, so it adds a good like structural support to the toe box. And because there are some areas that are like just this screen mesh material, is also really thin and soft and also really good for ventilation in those areas as well. Like I said, I do like how the 3 stripes logo with this kind of like thicker synthetic adds a little bit to the top of the toe box as well. You know what I mean? It's not just that screen mesh for the entire middle of the toe box, which I think is a good idea. You know, that would be bad for durability. So yeah, it feels really nice here in the toe box. There's also no pinching. I don't really have any pinching, no discomfort or anything like that. And then like I said, it's really thin here in the midfoot area, right? But around the eyelets, right, these kind of like last 4 eyelets, you can see just how thick the eyelet material is. You know what I mean? Like it's a really thick material and it's just like just synthetic materials, right? And with that, it actually adds a little bit of support, a little bit of kind of like structural rigidity, like right on top right here. Again, on the sides, it's still really thin and soft. But then right here, it feels pretty nice, you know what I mean? So that adds a little bit of structural support in the midfoot. The tongue, of course, has 0 padding, which that makes sense. They're trying to make the shoe as light as possible. It's also kind of like a half booty construction tongue. However, it's more like there's a strap almost, you know what I mean? There's a strap here on the medial side as well as on the lateral side, and it's attached to the bottom of the shoe, like attached to the midsole, and that keeps the tongue in place, which I like as well. And then here in the ankle area, we have very minimal, like literally zero padding, you know what I mean? Like on the sides, pretty much zero padding, and where your Achilles is, very minimal padding as well. Which does worry me a little bit about heel slippage. I mean, I'm not really experiencing any type of heel slippage right now, but my heel doesn't feel completely locked down. You know what I mean? Which we'll get into in support and lockdown. But yeah, I mean, I do like the overall material. It's thin. It also feels very supportive and feels supported in the correct areas. You know what I mean? They zone the areas in the upper very well to make the kind of like targeted areas where you need support, supportive, and also the areas where you don't need support, very thin and also very well ventilated. So I feel like it's really nice, right? And of course, it's not the best for support, you know what I mean? Comparing to shoes like, you know, the Team Joker, which is an all leather shoe, like the LeBron 22, you know, the AE1, the Hardens, right? But I feel like it holds its own, you know what I mean? Because like for how thin the upper is, it feels pretty dang supportive. And it feels even a little bit more supportive than like, you know, the Sabrina 2s, like the Jaw 2s, right? Which I think is a great thing, especially since it's just such a thin and see-through material. But one thing I am a little bit worried about, of course, would be durability in the really thin parts, you know? But I feel like, you know, the synthetic overlays are gonna help a little bit for the overall longevity of the shoe, right? So there's that. Moving on to the fit. So I went true to size. It actually runs a little bit long. So if you want a really snug fit lengthwise, I would suggest going down half a size, right? Which kind of sucks, you know? But yeah, there is just a tiny bit of length, like a centimeter or two. So it's not even that long, but there definitely is a little bit of length. And also the toe box is a little bit roomy, which kind of sucks. I like to have a very snug fit. And I can definitely curl my toes up a little bit, which kind of sucks, you know? And especially with this, you know, mesh material, I feel like it'll even stretch out just a tiny bit, and once I break it in, it might even get a little bit roomier in the toe box, which kind of sucks, you know? And as far as the width goes, it seems pretty normal to me, so it's a pretty normal width. So yeah, it's just not the best fitting shoe for me. I mean, I feel like if I went down half a size, it might help a little bit, but still, right now it's not the best fit for me. And then moving on to the support and lockdown, I definitely feel like, again, it's pretty dang good, you know what I mean? So for lateral containment, like I said, this synthetic overlay right here, it covers the entire kind of like forefoot area on the lateral side, right? So it actually adds a good amount of structural support here. So that's actually really, really good. And then also we do have this plastic piece, you know, it goes all the way around the shoe, right? Here on the lateral side, in the heel, and also all the way on the medial side. So that just kind of comes up a little bit, you know what I mean, just a tiny bit. But here in the forefoot, midfoot, and heel, you have that as well. And then we actually have a pretty stiff internal TPU heel counter, you know what I mean? It kind of like, it looks like it's just a very small one. It kind of ends right here, but it's actually really stiff, you know what I mean? So comparing it to this shoe, which was really, really soft, look at that. It's a really soft material. You can't really do that as much here in the 3.0. You know what I mean? It's just a little bit stiffer, you know what I mean? So lateral containment feels like it's gonna be good. Lateral stability also, look at this. You see how crazy this outrigger is? You can see just how much the forefoot protrudes out here. So lateral stability feels like it's gonna be extremely good. Look at that. Just crazy protruded out. But of course, the heel slippage, again, it's not terrible or anything. It's actually not even that bad, but it just doesn't feel completely locked down for the heel, which of course that makes sense because there's not that much padding. We'll have to see on, you know, when I'm playing it. Hopefully it's not too bad, but it doesn't feel terrible at all, right? So there is a supported lockdown there. Moving on to the weight of the shoe. I mean, it's using Light Strike. Light Strike is a very low density foam. It doesn't add too much weight to the overall shoe, and the upper is extremely freaking thin, and it feels extremely lightweight. So I'm guessing like 10 point something ounces, 11, you know, low 11s. Yeah, 10.9 ounces. Let's check the other shoe. 10.9 ounces, right? So yeah, there is literally only like 2 or 3 other shoes that are in the 10 ounce range, right? And of course, the lightest hoop shoe that I have weighed in the past couple years has been the Ultralight 2025, right? And I'm pointing over there because that's where the shoe is, but yeah, that shoe was like 8.4 ounces, 8.9 ounces, something like that, extremely lightweight. Actually the 2.0 was 10 point something, and 10.55, right? So it's just a tiny bit lighter, but of course, there were problems with it, right? There was heel slippage, not super supported. The cushion also was lackluster in terms of also impact protection, right? But the 3.0 seems to fix all that, and it's just a tiny bit heavier, you know what I mean? So it feels a lot more supportive. The cushion feels way better. The traction feels way better. And also the support feels way better. And it's only like, what was it? Like 0.35 ounces heavier, you know what I mean? So not even that big of a difference, and it still feels extremely lightweight and minimal, you know? So I'm actually really liking how this shoe feels, and it feels definitely like an upgrade from the 2.0 in my personal opinion. And then moving on to the aesthetics, wow, this shoe looks absolutely amazing. The only thing I don't like about the design for this shoe, I mean, or at least for this colorway, is the translucent outsole. I don't like translucent outsoles, you know, just yellows, and also it picks up a little bit more dust usually than solid rubber, you know, so not a huge fan of that. But other than that, it's just the overall design looks great. The 3 stripes here, and also how functional this 3 stripes logo is actually pretty dang cool. So tell us what you guys think of these settings down in the comment section below. So wrapping these up, yeah, I mean, Adidas is kind of killing it, guys. Of course, with their new lineup of, you know, basketball shoes like the Dawn Issue 6, the Dame 9, and also the Hardens. It's been amazing, and also the AEs, right? The AE ones. The new kind of like lineup is coming soon. You know, we already saw a sneak peek of Dame 10, the Dawn Issue 7. Harden Volume 9 is already out, you know, and also the AE2 should be coming out this summer, I think, right? And yeah, I think Adidas is killing it. They have a very small selection of shoes, but I feel like they're really focusing on performance. And yeah, their whole lineup is feeling really nice. And I think with the Adizero Select 3.0, they wanted to make a really lightweight shoe, but in their description, they said that wasn't like the main priority or the main focus. They wanted to make a really nice, supportive basketball shoe that was also lightweight. You know what I mean? So it's still important that they made a lightweight shoe, but it wasn't the most important thing where they sacrificed a lot. You know what I mean? Like, for example, the Adizero Select 2.0. So anyways, my first impressions of the shoe are looking really, really nice. I love the price. I love how it feels so far on foot, and I'm super excited to play in them tomorrow. So anyways, that about wraps up my first impressions look on the Adizero Select 3.0. Again, if you guys want to copy, try to leave in the link in the description box. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.